Hi again, Eduardo. Hope your trip was great. So, obviously, whoever follows you knows that you were to Italy. And,
Yeah.
needless to say, those stories made me want to go to there as well. How are you
It
doing?
was very good. Yeah, it was very good, very enjoyable.
Right. So, to anyone who doesn't know, Eduardo is a partner with Shadway Markets. He's a full time trader for 4 years, I
Four and a
believe.
half now, yeah.
4.5, right? And he's also running his own community of more than 600 traders. And he's teaching them how to trade, his short-term strategy. So he's mentoring them on a daily basis, and we'll get into that more as well, obviously. So, and the topic of today's, so the main question today is why become a retail trader and open a brokerage account. And I think a good point to start with would be to look historically, you know. So what happened, for example, what happened at after post 2008, post the great financial crisis. So obviously trading was existed way before that. I think it started in 1930s. But if you were as much as thinking about investing or trading, in any way before 2008, you could actually just use saving accounts and be okay long term. And post 2008, so basically financial repression happened where people were forced to look for an alternative that would take care of their financial future themselves, and trading, was one of them. And obviously there was of course a lot of bad business as well. People who saw this desperation from people who are looking for a better alternative, and but that's a topic for different video, obviously. So, what are your opinions on these two matters that I just mentioned, Eduardo?
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, you touched on the historical element. So historically, before you could go on the internet and sign up to a retail as a retail trader, the only way that you could invest in the stock market was to go through a bank or a brokerage firm. But basically, what you were doing was you were handing over your capital, to these companies, and you had absolutely no control. So you were giving your capital to these companies who were investing on your behalf, and you had absolutely no say. So they could phone you up and say, you've took a loss of 10% today, and you wouldn't be able to fully understand, the root cause of that. You'd have to accept exactly what they're telling you. So you had absolutely no control over your own finances. You were giving your money to these companies, to these brokers, and you had to trust them. Okay.
Right.
Fast forward decades and decades. Now we are in a position where if you wish to trade the stock market, you have total control, complete control of your own finances. Now, not only can you trade, your typical stocks like your Coca-Colas and your Johnson and Johnsons, you can also trade foreign currency, forex. You can trade indices, like the FTSE 100, the Dow Jones. You can trade gold. You can trade, cotton. You can trade silver. The opportunities are absolutely limitless. Now, what is really important, first of all, what I would like to say is, from my perspective, everything that I'm discussing is exactly what you touched on. So short-term investing. So me personally, I scalp trade and I intraday trade. So my perspective and everything that I'm touching on is to do with scalp trading and intraday trading. In terms of swing trading and positional trading and hedging, it's a completely different approach,
Right.
completely different fundamentals. So it's important that we understand that.
Right.
So the first thing I would like to say is there's many brokers out there, and you have to choose your broker wisely. So later on, I'm going to ask you a very good question, and I think it's going to be very beneficial to any trader out there,
Right.
whether they're new or experienced. But first of all, what I would like to say is, the opportunities are absolutely limitless right now, okay, in
Definitely.
2022, absolutely limitless. You can choose to trade wherever you want. You can choose to trade literally 22 hours, around the clock. Obviously, most instruments close over the weekend, but you still have some cryptocurrencies that you can trade at the weekend.
Sure.
So therefore, when you first start off, obviously most traders, or 99.9% of traders, are in a full-time job when they first start to trade.
Sure.
So first of all, it's very easy to work this around your current situation, your current job. Okay, so even if you cannot scalp trade and open, for example, you can intraday trade. Right. If you can't intraday trade, you can swing trade, you can positional trade, you can hedge. The opportunities are absolutely limitless right now. But one of the most important elements is this is a wonderful opportunity, okay? But you have to go about this in the correct way, okay? It is a wonderful opportunity, but it's the same as anything else in life. You have to become educated. You can't just open up a brokerage account, get in there and start trading with real money. It doesn't work like that. You must become educated. There's many different forms of education. There's many different forms on YouTube. You can get free education. You can sign up to a broker. You can get educated from within your brokerage firm, or you can join a trading community and get educated that way. There's many different forms. Now, I'm not going to sell either or. It's up to the individual how they want to get educated. Definitely. But the important thing is that they do actually use that element. You have to become educated before you trade with real money. I can't emphasize enough how important it is that when you do sign up to a brokerage account, that you get educated. You use a demo account, a paper account before you go in with real money.
Right.
We're talking about I've talked about the opportunities being limitless. Imagine a man in his 40s that's been in the industry for 20 years and one day wakes up and decides that he wants to live a different way, that he wants more time to himself. He doesn't want to work all these hours, finds retail trading, gets himself educated, and over a number of years puts a lot of work in, loses money, makes money, loses money, makes money, but puts so much work in and puts so much effort in that over a number of years, eventually one day he gets to quit his job, becomes a full-time trader, and moves to a Mediterranean island and gets to work 1 hour a day.
Right.
Can you imagine that? How amazing would that be?
Yeah,
that's what happened. Yeah, that's what happened to me. Okay, that's what happened to me. Very quickly, as an overview, yes, it takes a hell of a lot of work. You have to put so much effort in. The journey is very, very difficult. A lot of people do fail, okay? A lot of people do fail because it's so hard, it's so difficult. But there's many examples of this opportunity being limitless. I'm one of them. There's many other opportunities of individuals that I know, and you only have to go on social media platforms to see some of these individuals that have made a living out of it. I'm a full-time trader. I've been a full-time trader. Coming up in October, the 11th this year, it'll be 2 years. It's achievable.
Right.
It's achievable. The opportunities are absolutely limitless.
Definitely. Right. And, so obviously you can be a full-time trader and just, as you work 1 hour a day and live on a Mediterranean island, but there are, of course, other business opportunities and career opportunities in trading as well. And so one point you mentioned that, you have to be educated, obviously. That's, I agree 100%, but I would also say that not all education is good, and you have to actually think about, who you're listening to. And so obviously the probably most important reason why you should become a retail trader is that you take control of your financial future, and choosing a proper broker is a crucial part of that. And
absolutely
right. And so I think it's also worth to compare trading to other methods of entrepreneurship, to other businesses. So obviously if you want to be successful, you need to look at trading as your own business. So how do you compare trading to other businesses, and what are the benefits in trading comparing to others?
Yeah. So first of all, being a retail trader, trading the stock market, it doesn't matter what instrument you're trading. It's the same as any other business. okay, it is no different from any other business. You know, if you own a pizza shop, you've got to pay electricity, you've got to pay, you know, rent, okay, you've got to pay for this, you've got to pay for that. That's the overheads that must come out of the bottom line. Okay, so your P&L is after they have been taken out of the equation. Okay, as a retail trader, we also have the same. First of all, you've got the spread that you must pay. It's part of the P&L.
Right.
And second of all, you must accept losses. Okay,
Right.
that's our overheads. It's the exact same as, because as a retail trader, you sit in your kitchen or your living room or your bedroom or even your toilet. Some people do. Okay, right. And the only overhead that you have is a fixed overhead where you bought a laptop, you have a phone. So, you know, that's another element as well. But I suppose, crucially, one of the biggest elements is accepting losses are part of the game.
Right.
It's the same as any other business. It's the same as, you know, paying for electricity or paying for rent. We have to make sure that we approach this in the same way as any other business. Right. And in our business as a retail trader, accepting a loss is part of the overall P&L. It's as simple as that. It's a business. Right. It's the same as any other business. It's no different.
Right. And you know, because it's so important, you know, it's also it's so hard to explain to especially newer guys to trading, you know, to just accept the losses and move on. It's probably it's one of the bigger challenges, I would say, for newer guys, to just look at risk first and then, you know, what are the expected profits. You know, you have to learn to take losses and then think of everything else.
I mean, when you look at your broker statement, or when you look in your platform, it says P&L. You know, P&L meaning profit and loss. I mean, it doesn't say P, does it?
Right.
Just P.
Right.
It's
right.
P&L, profit and loss. Right. Straight away, it's telling you there that you should be expecting some kind of loss.
Right.
You know, the broker is actually telling you to expect a loss somewhere.
Right.
There has to be a loss somewhere. So it's there in black and white or whatever color you have your trading platform in.
Right. I would also add that you're actually in losses the moment you open a trade because of the spread and commission, if there's any.
Of course.
So, like,
of course.
Yeah. And
it's the same as any other business. As soon as you open a position, you are immediately in a loss because you're paying to open that position. Right. But it's the same as a pizza shop. As soon as you open the shop, you're at a loss until you sell your first pizza.
Sure.
The principle is the exact same. There's no difference.
Right.
There's no difference.
Right. And you know, I guess a good turning point would be to also mention, well, obviously there are risks and you have to invest and, you know, take a loss first before you make profit. But as you mentioned, you know, profit opportunities are endless. You know, and you can find a suitable approach, suitable strategy, you know, no matter who you are, and be successful at it if you put in the work. And the rewards the rewards are unlimited. That's the like any other business.
Exactly. You know, I have a question for you, actually. I have a very interesting question. This is something that in the retail community and in my trading community that the discussion comes up. But as a retail trader, we never get the opportunity to ask the broker face to face. Okay.
Right.
So for all of the retail traders out there, I'm going to ask you a question. Okay. And that question is, how do I open a brokerage account? That's the first question. And the second and most important question is, what should I be looking for when I open a brokerage account? Because as a new retail trader, when you open an account with a brokerage firm, sometimes you're hesitant. You don't know if that brokerage firm is legitimate, right, if they're regulated, etc., etc.
Right. Of course, right. So so well, if you think about it, you're actually right. So new retail traders don't actually have this opportunity to ask someone directly. So how to actually pick a good broker? I mean, obviously they're being marketed and advertised to, you know, by brokers who are interested in getting them in. But, you know, it's good to know it's good to know details of how this industry works and how to pick actually a proper, good, reliable broker. So so opening account is, well, it's really it's simple, So you upload your documents, ID, passport, proof of address. Most of the cases that's enough, and you're good to go. And you fill out the application, and you're good to go. You can trade. And so picking a broker would be the bigger question here. And so the main issues, to give you and your audience just an idea of how important this point is. So if we take a single, reliable, regulated broker and just compare size of regulated brokers to the size of unregulated scam brokers, it must be at least 1 to 5, even in well regulated, well overlooked regions, like Europe. And in other regions around the world, the ratio is much worse, I would say. So you have to make sure that the broker is regulated. And how do you do it? Well, I would say that European regulators are considered to be the strictest ones, and it's generally a good sign if your broker is regulated by any of the European regulators. So I'll just name some of them. It's FCA, UK one. It's CISEC, Cyprus one, and it's MFCA. It's the one in Malta. So if your broker has any of them, it's generally a good sign. They are regulated. They won't do any of this sketchy stuff like unregulated brokers do. So that's first. Second thing, and this really depends on what your approach is. So in your case, if you're a short-term trader, intraday trader, doing scalping, in your case, trading conditions are, very important. So I think we could categorize all brokers out there in 2 categories by this single criteria, which is does the broker trade against their client? And some people would not even know that. So now you'll find out what it's like. So for broker there are 3 revenue streams generally. Hold just a second, notification. Okay. So for any broker there are 3 main revenue streams. So that's spread, commissions if there are any, and overnight fees. Now, so that's a standard, a default, so to say.
Yeah.
So there are also other ways. There are situations like brokers who, I'm not going to name names, but there are I think in 2020 there was a popular, very well-spoken case where a broker, who I'm not going to name, was doing this payment for all order flow thing, and apparently they did not charge spread and commission, and I think they only had overnight, but they were earning by selling or directing their orders to specifically with the providers who it just creates, it's just a very sketchy situation. And so another used sort of I guess established revenue stream for brokers is where brokers trade against their clients. So they just make liquidity for the clients and cash in the losing clients' money. That's obviously that creates a very dangerous incentive for the broker. So
Yep.
So if we could compare these 2 brokers, so a broker with 3 standard revenue streams, a broker with the 4th revenue stream, we could say that the broker who has the 4 revenue streams is interested in making the client lose their money as soon as possible, because he can just take all your money as profit. And so this is called dealing desk broker case. So this broker with the 4th revenue stream has a dealing desk where they make trading against their clients. And so the second category is a no dealer desk broker, and for your information, Trader is a no dealer desk broker. All our trading goes directly to liquidity providers. Obviously, we're not alone. There are other brokers like this, but this is just generally good information to know for clients. And so obviously, brokers who are no dealer desk brokers, they have better execution and trading conditions generally, lower spreads, commissions, and all that. So another important factor would be the amount of available instruments. So in your case, you're focusing on a couple instruments. Just that's just because that's your approach. But if someone is, say, position trading, running a portfolio, or long-term investing, or investing into stocks, then obviously you need more tradable instruments in the broker, because the more instruments you have, the more opportunities you have, right? So like in any other business, you do not want to limit yourself to a specific region where you sell to. You want to expand. So very similar in trading, and so just to mention what we offer at TradeView a little bit. So we have, I believe, around 100 CFD instruments. We have a proprietary futures platform where we are connected to 11 major exchanges, and in terms of equities, we can offer any equity that's traded on New York Stock Exchange, Nasdaq, and AMEX Exchange. We can give access to any of those. And by the way, it's also direct market access, so it's not a CFD. It's direct market access, so people are trading the true on exchange traded instrument.
Yeah.
So that would be the third point. And another point would be, I would say that having a personal manager is a really good thing. Most brokers offer it, I believe, but not all. And if you think about it, well, it's just a nice thing to have, a person who you can call, well, not 24/7, but most time of the day and most days of the week. You can just ask anything, what's up, what's happening with the platform, I have issues, I need help with this, that, and it's just nice to have. So I would say these would be the 4 major things I would recommend retail traders to look for, depending on their approach.
I think that this is a first. I've not seen any interviews with a retail trader that is out there as a public figure like I am, and actually gets the broker to come on and speak about these things. And the fact that you've highlighted a lot of elements there, it actually gives me more confidence to use TradeView, because if you're bringing up all these different elements that a retail trader should be conscious of, it means that TradeView is completely regulated, and all the sketchy stuff that some of these sketchy brokers do, TradeView is not doing. So I think that this is very good for retail traders, because I've never seen a broker actually come out and speak about these things in a forum or environment like this.
Right.
It's very good, and it's another educational piece for retail traders. You've just educated retail traders on what they should be looking for.
Right.
And as a new retail trader, you actually don't know what you should be looking for.
Yeah, that's a problem. And and I think I should add just a little bit to the regulation point, that if your broker is not regulated by any of the EU regulators, that does not necessarily mean that it's a bad broker. There are good regulators around the world. In Cayman Islands are actually a proper regulator, and many other. But you have to think logically. So let's say if the regulator is in a country, so the regulator is in a country, is from a country where it's simply a bad economy and there's not a lot of funds available for the regulator. Well, obviously the protection is going to be worse.
Yep.
So it's just you have to think logically about it.
Yep, it goes without saying, really, doesn't it?
Right. Okay. Well, I think this was a good interview, Eduardo. I think we have covered.
It was, and I think this is going to be very, very beneficial to retail traders, because they're actually going to get to hear it straight from a broker of what they should be looking for about regulations, etc. So this is going to be a very good interview to put out, because it's a two-way interview. It's not just you interviewing me, but I've actually got an opportunity to ask questions to you that a lot of retail traders out there want answered, and you've just answered them. So it's going to be very beneficial to new retail traders and retail traders that have been in the business for a while also.
Right. Definitely. Okay, Eduardo. Well, thanks for your time. Definitely looking forward to the next interview.
Yes.
And thanks
forward
everyone
to
for
it, yeah.
watching. And by the way, one more thing: if anyone's interested in Eduardo's community, feel free to reach out to me. If you don't have contacts of Eduardo directly, I can redirect you to Eduardo, and we will sort things out for you. Okay, thanks everybody for watching, and see you on the next video.
See you again very soon.